Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Girl Activate podcast, where we drop inspirational gems that you can apply to your daily life to help you awaken the greatness within. The Girl Activate community is also for the girlies that are not only interested in taking your business to the next level, but also interested in taking your life to the next level. On this episode today, we'll be chatting it up about work life balance. Is there such a thing? Is there? And multitasking in your business. As women, we know how many hats we have to wear to keep things going, and sometimes it can take a toll. When I talk to my students, one of the number one challenges that they're having is sometimes doing everything all at once. Sorry. Then one of their number one challenges is having to do it all, and sometimes all alone. Service provider, marketer, branding, graphics, producer, mom, wife, caretaker, etc. Most people have a concept of what they need to do to be successful in business, but they don't think they can handle the process. So today's guest is going to help us gain some insight on what it's like to juggle many high priority tasks, spirituality, and finding balance in it all. What is her secret sauce, y'all? What is her secret sauce strategy? So today's guest is Renee Daniel Flagler. She's an award winning author, writer, coach, and speaker who is passionate about encouraging women and youth to pursue their passion and purpose. Renee has written numerous books, including several romance titles under the pen name Nicki Night. Renee is also no stranger to the Girl Activate community and podcast. She is also my OG accountability partner. Welcome, Renee.
Thank you for having me, Stacey. I'm excited to be with you all the time. So
I'm so excited to have you. You're a busy, busy lady. You're literally in the middle of your award season right now. You're doing it all, and you're making me so proud. You're blazing the trail in front of me. I'm so inspired by everything that you're doing, and you're the perfect guest to talk about this work-life balance and this multitasking. So I just want to jump right into it. Is
yes,
that okay?
that's okay. Let's do it.
All right, all right. So, do you believe in work life balance?
No.
Let me think about it. No. So, tell me about that. What?
So I always say it's like work-life juggle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because especially with the pace of the world today, especially with social media, this microwave mentality, and then all that it takes to just do the same things we used to do, right? The hustle, the grind is a little harder. And, a lot of us are multi-passionate, and we have day jobs and side businesses and passions and just all of this stuff. And even if you don't have all of that, just the day to day can be overwhelming sometimes. And the reason I say work life juggling is because balance is something that is very elusive and very hard to achieve. And when people try to achieve balance and don't do that successfully, then, or according to what they believe is a successful way to navigate work life balance, then they get all like upset about it and they get overwhelmed, and and it adds to the stress. And so I'm a believer of word as an author, words mean a lot. And I'm a believer of words and language. And sometimes we have to like give ourselves permission by just changing the language. And when you juggle, you have multiple things going on, but you're really only holding on to like one thing at a time, right? And that's what it is. Sometimes it's like, okay, I got all of these balls going, and this is family, this is work, these are my passions, but right now what I've got in my hand and what I'm focused on and what I'm paying attention to is family. Or what I have right now in my hand, what's in front of me that I'm giving my time and my laser focus to right now is my hustle. Right. So I live in a way that's kind of very compartmentalized in that respect, so that I can give all due respect to the thing that I need to focus on. So when I'm being an author, I'm just an author.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I don't mix it with being a CEO. I don't mix it with a business. You know what I mean? I focus on writing and getting that story out. So I'll block out that time that I need to do that. And then when that time is up, then I can jump into another box.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
was it always that way? Not to cut you,
nope.
because I know that over the years they have different leaders and different books and different productivity hacks that
Mhm.
actually say that you can have work-life balance if you're able to kind of strategize your day or time block your day. You can equally spend time with most of it. And by you saying that you focus on being an author, so what happens to those other things? Is it that one thing, or while you're focusing on that, you are conscious that other things are going to start to be sacrificed, or does it somehow just work itself out?
So it's not that I expect the other things to be sacrificed. It's just that that's the thing that has my focus at that given time.
Mm-hmm.
And with balance, it's like you're trying to do, because I believed in work life balance until I was like not achieving it, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't achieve it. And I was like, you know what? It's really, to me, it's really not a balancing game. It's more
Yeah,
of a juggling game, right?
yeah.
And so when you're balancing, you're focusing on more than one thing at a time. And even there's a couple of books that say that we don't really multitask, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
not really thinking of multiple things at one time, or really doing multiple things at one time. Our brain can really focus, really laser focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And so when we think that we're multitasking, we're actually just constantly shifting what our brain is focusing on, at, even if the shift is happening faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like that book, The One Thing,
The one thing I think I
right.
had,
I
yeah,
love that book, but it really
yeah.
does talk about focusing on one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the my concept of juggling is, this is what I got, what's in my hand is what I'm focusing on right now. And then when it's time to shift, what's in my hand next is the one thing that I'm focusing on.
I
I'm
think
very
that
much
the
aware of
mhm.
everything else, but
I think that the challenge has been there's a little bit of shame and guilt in these
Mhm.
last couple of years around the idea. It's kind of weird because you hear like find your niche and you hear focus and you hear all that stuff, but then there's also this kind of lazy element, like a guilt and shame that if I'm just focusing on one thing, then you're definitely dropping the ball in the other areas. So is that, I mean, have you felt that guilt in the past? I mean, I'm asking you questions and I already know the answer, which is weird. I know her, y'all. I know her real good.
you know how I
But
think.
for the people listening,
For the people, it's for the people.
for the people, I just want to dig a little bit deeper on what the feelings were before you came to this idea that, you know what, we got to focus on the one thing. I mean, being laser focused is so powerful because you really think you're doing something when you're spreading yourself thin, but at the same time, it's so much more efficient and faster when you're able to focus on that one thing. So,
So
what
true.
was kind of that? Did you have a moment when you're just like, nah, let me
Yes.
just focus on that thing?
And I think that's what it was. I think it was because I was trying to achieve balance. I was just spreading myself way too thin. And
Yeah.
then I think there's a couple of aha moments collectively that got me to the place where it's like, this is not working well. Number one is feeling really, really overwhelmed.
Hmm. Oh,
Number two, I had something going on with my health and I just didn't have the energy. And I was just like, I don't know what's happening right now, because I'm usually like very high energy. I'm
yes.
usually able to do multiple things at one time and all of this stuff. And it was like, I can't do that. I need to focus on one thing at a time. And then, I can figure this out, because I don't have the energy to
Right.
just like spread myself so thin, because it really does take more energy. And that was maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was dealing with something that was causing me to be anemic, and my energy levels went really low. And
Yeah.
I was like, and I was like, I realized then too, like, this is also not sustainable.
Yeah. It's not.
Like, I'm like, I wanna be like, health is just as much wealth as everything else is. So
Yeah.
I think that was part of it. And then I did realize that I was dropping more balls trying to spreading myself thin and trying to have balance. I was dropping more balls because I was doing too much of trying to multitask. And then I realized that whoever said that you're not really multitasking was right, because I was doing this and it was doing this and it was doing this and it was doing this. And then because I'm focusing on too many things at one time, nothing was getting done well.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, too many burners, or something's going to start burning if you doing too much.
Something definitely, one of those pots are definitely gonna burn.
They're gonna burn. And so I was like, okay. And then what's really interesting? I'm a huge reader.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that made me realize that I'm really not multitasking here was I didn't have as much time to read, so I turned to audiobooks.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I can listen while I'm doing other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, oh, I could knock it out. I could just I could get through my books. I could do this. I could do that. And I would be listening to my audiobook. And when I was chilling out, listening to my audiobook, it was all good. But if I was listening to my audiobook and doing something other than driving, I could drive and listen to an audiobook.
Right.
If I was listening to my audiobooks and doing something else, I would realize 5 minutes went past. I don't know what they were talking about in that audiobook. Because my mind is shifting now to all the other stuff that I was doing. So I'm not hearing the book. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. What's happening here? I was spreading myself too thin, trying to do too many things. And so I had to realize that reading an audiobook is just like sitting down and having that book in your hand. Because if you're not focused, you can't read, and then you're not reading.
It's quite silly if you think about it. I thought you was going to start shaming audiobooks. I was watching you with the side eye.
No, girl, audiobooks is my life, man. I still have a good book in my hand, but audiobooks is the way I get my books in.
I was watching you with the side eye, like, where's she going with this? Because I'm a big reader. That's how I consume 99% of my books, except for this last one that I'm reading. I was forced to I was so interested in reading it. There was no audio and I had to read it. So I'm halfway through that one. But can you walk us through? Okay, so you decided that multitasking was a big joke. It was just burning you out. And walk us through how you were able to pivot into that focus, so to speak. Because I know I'm tapping into the minds of the ladies watching, right? They're like, wait, because a lot of us feel like if I ain't doing it, it ain't gonna be done right. Right? So we can't delegate. All right. So what was that? Walk us through the moment of when you decided to focus and how you were able to do it without the guilt and everything. Did you have to prioritize? Did you have to block time? So when you're being an author, what does everything else look like? That's my question. When you're just being the author, what does everything look like? When you're just being the CEO, what happens to everything else? Just walk us through that.
Got it. Yep. So one of the big indicators is that I was burning out fast. And I wasn't ready to burn out. I was frustrated about the fact I didn't even realize that I was burning out until I realized how frustrated I had become all the time with everything. And it's like, why am I so frustrated? I'm doing all the stuff that I love. And usually that stuff feeds me. So the burnout, the beginning of the burning out, and it was just like too much, is when I was like, something's got to change. So me being the author right now,
right,
often is me sitting in front of my computer, opening, turning off notifications, right? Not going to the internet unless I want the thesaurus so I can look at other ways to say something, right? I have my earpods in. I can listen to jazz music because there's no words, or classical music because there's no words, but something about the rhythm helps to just get my mind flowing. They even say it's good for babies to listen to classical music, right? Because it helps to develop the mind. So my AirPods are in my ear. I'm listening to my John Coltrane channel on Pandora or Apple Music or whatever. My phone is off of notifications or away from me, and my computer is on Do Not Disturb. and I am writing. I am in the world with my characters doing the stuff, figuring out what's happening next. Talking about, I even make faces. It's so funny when I'm writing because my husband will be like, what? You just said something? I'm like, oh no. It was like something like the character. I'm like mouthing the words of the character and all. I'm
Right.
in there.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
And so, and for my husband to be like, you talking to me? He has to like come up to me because remember, I got my
Right, right.
on, but I'm like, but I'm doing the stuff that the character, I'm making
Right.
faces that the characters are making. But bottom line is, I am 100% in when I'm writing, right? When I'm
So
in the
what's happening? So what's happening with the husband, the kids, the house, dinner, groceries, bills, emails, texts?
I learned I had to let some of that stuff go. I can't do it all. And that was part of the frustration, was trying to do it all and feeling guilty that I couldn't do 100 things at one time. And that's what I mean by like, sometimes that perfection or the pursuit of trying to achieve balance, it can really like create this it perpetuates that sense of I'm not doing well enough because I'm not handling everything I should be handling. And so, especially when I got close to just really burning out, I had to step back. So I did that in two ways. I was the person who cooked, cleaned, this, that, the other. Now somebody's cleaning my house, right? Because I can't spend hours, and I enjoy cleaning the house. I'll get a nice drink when I used to drink and clean, have a drink and clean, drink some wine or whatever. Or when I stop drinking, as long as I got like something, give me a nice tea, iced tea or whatever to sip on, whatever. But I stopped cleaning my own house. My house is clean, but I have somebody who comes in and does the big stuff, mopping my floors. It goes through the whole house every 2 weeks or whatever. So that's one thing. And that way I don't have to spend all this time, hours and hours cleaning my house the way I want my house to be clean. That's number one. Number two, my husband stepped in. He now, where I used to do laundry and most of the cooking, he does now laundry and most of the cooking, because our days look different. When my work day is over and when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at the office, I'm running a whole company. So I really don't have time to like dip into the other areas of my life. Right. So when I'm at work, I'm at work. It requires my 100% of my attention. So I would come home from work and then I would either be writing or working on the business, coaching, or either coaching clients and doing things like that. So it shifted. My husband comes home from work and he had more disposable time, and disposable, for lack of a term. I don't know why they use that, disposable income and time, but nothing is disposable. But he would come home and he had a little bit more time on his hands because now he wasn't running his own business at the time. He's not a writer, so he's not looking to find those extra 7 hours in a day. And so he took on those things. So I have someone helping clean the house. He does most of the laundry. He does most of the cooking. I don't mind cooking, or if they ask, Mom, I want this or whatever, and I'll still do it. But for the majority of the time, he's doing the cooking. And then as an entrepreneur, systems, streamlining things. It makes sense.
Before you get into that, because I wanna find out from you, because I know you're in your award season right now. It's a forever award season for you, girl. I'm so happy you're being celebrated.
Thank you.
Celebrate. Give you your flowers. Give you your flowers while you're here. But before we jump into that, if you guys are watching live, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and share this video. We want to get this message out to all the ladies struggling to multitask in their life and in their business. We want to find a way to prioritize our wellness, our mental health, our wellness, so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. Because what happens at the end of this is that sometimes we're not even well enough to enjoy the fruits of the labor. So go ahead and like, go ahead and comment, and go ahead, subscribe, and go ahead and share. So Renee, walk us through, before we get into the business stuff, it might be a little bit mixed in there too, but walk us through a day or week in Renee's world. I mean, because I see you, if you're not following Renee on social media, you're doing yourself a disservice. All right. So in any given day, she'll be in 3 different locations, and the family cookout, a work thing, a personal thing, an author thing, an award ceremony, a podcast, a TV show, a radio show. So walk us through, give us details
Right.
of a day or week in your world. What does that look like?
All right. So Sunday is I'm a God's girl, right? So
Mhm,
Sunday is church. I'm getting
mhm.
up and I'm going to get
Hashtag
my
church
praise
girl.
on, get my praise on. And I'm active in church. So, either I'm sitting in the pew or I'm serving in some capacity. And then Sunday afternoon, it really is just a family day. I try not to do any work at all on a Sunday. But Monday, I'm up and at it.
You back at it. You back on
Back
the
at it.
saddle.
So I got a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, from
Uh-huh.
9 to something, right? So 9 to something, right? I am in the game. I'm in the game. And so Monday through Friday, for the most part, 9 to 5, I'm working in my day job, running the company. And then in the evenings, I'm doing a number of things. So I'll get home, I'll give myself some time to just kind of unwind, chat with my husband or whatever, check things. And then I'll dive in for a couple of hours in the evening. So I treat my day job, I treat my business and writing like it's a second job, right? So I will come home. So that's like the transition. And then at a certain time, maybe about 6:30, I begin working on my day job. I mean, my business or either books. And
Mhm.
I'll do that until about 10, maybe 10 o'clock at night or whatever. I'm usually in bed around 11 and I get up at 7 in the morning. So I'm getting like, a decent amount of sleep, but I'm getting, things done. So Monday through Thursday in the evenings, those are my work hours for business and books and
Mhm.
business. So, what am I doing during that time frame? Either I am focusing on developing some content for social media, I am meeting with coaching clients, or I'm writing.
Mhm.
Um, I try to keep my clients on certain days,
Mhm.
so I know, okay, Mondays, this particular client, every other Monday, I'm on with her in the evening. So I know it's easy to schedule. And that's another thing. My calendar is everything. So it's easy to schedule.
Mhm.
Wednesday is another coaching night, right? So I will try to make sure that all of my coaching clients are on Mondays or Wednesday nights. So I know in my head it's Monday. Well, okay, I probably got a coaching client tonight. And
Mhm.
then the other days I'm focusing on writing. Fridays, after my job, when I'm off, I don't really do any work on Fridays. That's my wind down time. That's my time to kind of just like pass out from the week if I have to,
Mhm.
or maybe go to dinner with my husband or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, because I do have to juggle sometimes during the week. So if I am asked to speak, if I have to participate or be at an event, if I'm at an award ceremony receiving an award, it's usually in the evening from like
Yeah.
6 to 9. So then I'll adjust accordingly. So for example, next week on Thursday, I'm really excited about this one, but I've been nominated as a top chief on Long Island. Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's my friend, y'all. That's my friend.
So it's among an
I know her.
amazing.
She know me too. We know each other. Mhm.
So I'm on the list of nominees with a bunch of amazing chief executive CEOs across Long Island. So I'm looking at that list like, y'all really want me on this list? It's
Mhm.
so I'm among amazing company. So I know that next Thursday I'm going to be at the event. So then I'll adjust during the week. If I had a coaching client, I know in advance, I'll go, all right, let's schedule this for another night. Or if I was planning on writing that day, then I'll adjust when I'm going to write. So
Mhm.
my schedule is pretty much set for weeks at a time. So I know exactly what's happening or what's going on. So that's it. I go to work in the morning, I come back, take some reprieve time, and then I jump into business. I'm either focusing on coaching, focusing on writing, or focusing on the stuff that, helps my business to run, the administrative stuff or speaking and things like that.
Mhm.
Friday evening, I'm pretty leave open, chill out, be a wife, be a mom, whatever. My kids are older, so they don't need me as much.
Mhm.
And Saturdays is a combination. If I have to work, if I have to speak or whatever, fine. But Saturdays usually dedicated to like my community organizations, my home, my family, or
Mhm.
whatever. So I try to preserve the weekends for those things that kind of feed me back. Brunches with the girls, all that.
Hey.
Hmm.
I haven't got an invite in a long time, but it's okay.
I mean, that just means we overdue because you know how we are with food. So
um, so that's amazing. That was a mouthful. That was a lot. And it's a lot.
yeah,
We're acknowledging that that is a lot, even though it's well scheduled, it's well planned out.
yeah.
Even with that ease of your schedule, do you still ever feel burnt out?
Not as much as I used to, but every now and then, like if there's always tough weeks. There's always like crazy things that can turn your, schedule over like an apple cart, right?
Hmm.
So um in the past couple of weeks I've been nominated a lot for a lot of opportunities, so that
Hmm.
that type of stuff is like, okay, I won't be able to write that night, or I won't be able to do this that night. That stuff still needs to be done, so
Hmm.
I'll have to like rework my schedule for that. Or there may be a time where there's just a lot happening at work
Hmm.
and it'll require me to put in some extra hours, or a lot going on at home and it's like, okay, everything else I'm gonna have to put, you're gonna be on the side burner because I need to take care of home. Like, family is my first blessing, home is my first obligation, so
Hmm.
it will always trump, everything else. But my family is also extremely supportive
Hmm.
of me as a professional and as a business owner. And they're very self-sufficient. Like, I
Right.
don't I don't have to babysit my family. You know what I mean? And my kids are older. My husband is he's a great cook. So he's very self-sufficient. He's not necessarily waiting for me to get home for him to have a meal. He grown.
Right. Right. Yeah, I know that's something that we have some comments coming in. Jessica says, "Hey,"
Hey,
Myrta says, "Hey, ladies," and Sajin says, "That's my customer, y'all."
that's right.
And Myrta says, "Balance is vital to creative work." So,
Yes.
yes, agreed, agreed, agreed. So, let's shift gears right now and start to talk a little bit about business. So,
Yes.
as you know, Girl Activate community, it's a lifestyle community for the girlies that want to do well in life, but also do well in business. And we know that if you're not doing well in life, we're going to struggle in business. And honey, if the business is not working, you're going to struggle in life. So let's now kind of shift gears and start talking about business. Okay. And one of the reasons why I was so excited to have you on the show, you're my girl, number one. Hey. And number two, I've been hearing from my students. So I'm launching a course in January 9th, and it's all about helping businesses and brands to communicate effectively online. I'm not claiming to be a brand expert or anything like that, but I've been able to partner with like 5 major global brands over the last 9 years. And when you look back, they say hindsight is 2020. I was able to connect the dots and I realized, hey, I'm onto something. I think I have a formula of something that works and how to put that package together so you can cut the line. But what I'm noticing is that when I'm presenting this opportunity to artists and creative professionals, they seem like they're already overwhelmed. They cannot get the hang of social media. Number one, first of all, they're having their own internal struggles. Then they're having their own internal struggles with business. And now you put social media on top of that.
Yeah.
I have one student in particular who just relocated, just opened a new beauty business, just relocated. She's a mom with little kids. And here I am telling her she's got to do XYZ on social media. It just seemed overwhelming. So I'm glad to have you here because one of the main objections, sorry, is the fact that there is overwhelm
Mhm.
in their life and in their business. But if you cannot kind of streamline and find a strategy to make it work, you're going to fall behind and you're not going to meet your full potential. All right. So that's why we're having this conversation. I have one person specifically in mind, but they say when you talk to one, you talk to many. Right.
Mhm. Yep.
So tell us a little bit about um, your business and how you got started with your online business.
Absolutely. So I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I started as on my book journey when I first published my first books. I actually self-published my first 3 books, so I had to create a company to do that, and do all the stuff, right? All the stuff. What did Issa Rae, when entrepreneur means you doing all the shit yourself? Yeah,
Pretty much.
so pretty much, right? So I had to do all the shit myself. So that's what launched the business. But in addition to that, um, under my business, which is Divine Right, is the book division, right, where I focus on books and all things writing. So in that, that is, publishing books. That's my author brands, and that also entails like writing. I have writing programs and stuff that I'm doing. So teaching writing, I was adjunct professor. Everything that relates to writing programs, literacy, and all of that is under that. The other side of that is coaching and consulting. And so I built that out from there. And as things changed, because in 18 years we've undergone a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
So pivoting is an essential, not even an essential thing you need to be aware of. Pivoting is part of business. That's it. Right. So when I started, I was going to bookstores. I was literally getting in my car, going around the country on book tours, going from store to store to store to store. There were no e-readers. There was no audio books. There was none of that. And eventually, over the years, we moved from actually being in bookstores. Bookstores started closing. Amazon came up. We've got Sony e-readers. We got Amazon Kindle. Now we have audio books, ebooks, this book or whatever. So, I had to make those adjustments and everything over the years. So always being ready and agile to pivot was really extremely important. But it really comes back to 2 things for me. 3 things: strategy, time blocking, right? Because you need that piece. Like you just got to have that in place. So having a strategy, time blocking, and juggling. It really is those 3 things. So without the strategy, when I was operating without strategy, I was all over the place. And I never felt like I was getting anything accomplished because it was just a long to-do list of how to get all this stuff done. And it was endless. And I wasn't working at optimal efficiency. I wasn't utilizing all the right systems and things like that. So it took longer to do everything. And sometimes you're doing double work because you do something over here. If you're being strategic, you see how everything connects. But if you're not being strategic, you're doing something over here, then you're doing something over here, and you're like, oh, I could have did this when I was doing this. So strategy helped me to streamline everything, right? It also helped me to identify what systems do I have that can help me do the things that I need to do. How can I reduce the time, the energy, the resources, and the money, and get more ROI, get a bigger outcome, get a faster outcome. And faster doesn't always mean cheaper. Faster just means more efficient, right? So that was helpful. Timing, like I had to just break out my time frame and say, okay, this time I'm focusing on this, and this time I'm focusing on that. And that allowed me to really dig in and deliver in excellence and deliver quality, not just quantity, but deliver quality. Because I wasn't spreading myself so thin that I wasn't giving all of myself to one thing. If I'm giving all of myself to one thing and I do that in excellence, and I can walk away from that with confidence saying, okay, I did that well. Now let me put that out there, and then I can move on to the next thing.
Okay. Excuse me?
I said, make sense so far?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, how did you pivot into coaching?
So the thing is, the first time I went into coaching, it was really consulting. It was very intentional. The second time, it was almost by mistake. So the first time, I was intentionally, because I have a background in marketing and branding. I used to work for big corporations like Verizon and Elsevier and stuff like that, as a marketing professional. And so I experienced periods of layoffs when the economy went down. Like marketing is one of the first budgets that get cut. And so to fill in the gap, I went out to individuals who needed to help building their personal brands. I went to small businesses and was like, I can help you develop a marketing strategy, a marketing campaign on a shoestring budget. I can help you do corporate style marketing on a small business budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so intentionally went out and I worked with several people. That was like 2000. You remember that era? It was like
Oh yeah.
2005 to about 2012,
Mm-hmm.
2013. I think maybe my last client like that was about 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that for about 10 years. And then when I came into the current job that I'm in now, working full time, running a nonprofit organization, what happened was when I got into this role and I started to, at that point, just implement all the training that I received as an executive,
Mm-hmm.
um, all of the lessons that I learned, how to streamline things, how to operationalize things, how to be more efficient, how to market and like all the stuff that I had gained over 2 decades of being a professional. I implemented in the company that I had come into,
Mm-hmm.
and people were able to see the results, and they were looking like, wow, that's kind of one of the reasons why I get a lot of awards, and looking at like, wow, look what she did with this company. She came in, it's a nonprofit organization. She came into this nonprofit organization. We start seeing growth. We start seeing they're serving more people. They're getting bigger revenues. They're operating more efficiently. Then I was able to hire, when I came on, we had a team of 3. Now I have a team of 14. So I've been able to, hiring people and being able to clearly carve out their job responsibilities in a way that helps to add, right, to the business. And so people were like, well, how's she doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So specifically two nonprofit leaders came to me and was like, Renee, I need help. Can
Mm-hmm.
you help me do what you did? And
Right.
so I would literally meet with them over lunch every couple of weeks. And like, all right, this is what you need to do. Da, 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 da. Let me see what you did. Okay, look, this is what you need to change. Da, da, da. And it was literally like months in. And I was like, I'm coaching. I'm coaching.
Yeah.
Coaching. Like, I'm coaching here. So are you going to coach or are you going to not going to coach? Like, what are you
Right.
going to do
Right.
here? Because this is
So
now you
one thing kind of just led to the other. So do
exactly.
you find that social media or branding help to establish your reputation or build your business, or
It
it was
definitely
all
helped me to build
organic?
my business tremendously.
Okay.
So I started with, okay, I'm coaching. I'm working with these two people, these two nonprofit leaders. They're seeing results. Their companies are growing. They're getting more clients. This is happening. I'm like, okay, it's happening. I said, now, when anybody else, they're going to have to pay for coaching.
Okay.
Then
You're like, enough of that free stuff.
some of the free stuff, right? I was happy to help them. Now, pandemic comes, and now we're all shut down, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
all home. And the majority of the time where I would get get coaching clients is because I was out talking and then doing events
Right.
at home. So it was like, okay, how do I do this at home? Because now I can't go out. I can't, attract people.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave me someone who can help me get my whole social media strategy brand life together. And that
Mm-hmm.
was Miss Janelle Stewart.
Yes.
I worked with Janelle, and within about 18 months, I grew. I had like, maybe a little under 2000, like 1500, 1700, something like, on social media. So
Mm-hmm.
people on social media. My social media profile was a little smaller on Instagram, and, throughout the other ones or whatever. But I was posting and I was being active, but I didn't have a strategy. And
Right.
so working with her helped me to develop a strategy and literally cleaned up my social media presence and profile. And it just started growing
Right. So
all
you know
across
what's
the board.
crazy about that? On my last call with my last guest, Trisha, I had a light bulb moment, and it's like it's coming back to me again as you're saying that. As entrepreneurs, as business owners, or self-employed, we are just in this cycle of running in circles. And I just heard you say it, and it just reminded me that we are running in circles until somehow something wakes us up. We have a revelation, or somebody tells you about a solution. We're running in circles and we think it's okay. How is this
It's not okay.
how are we not understanding this a little sooner? So what I just heard you say is that, you know what, there was an organic thing happening, it was growing, you were doing well, but when you tried to take it to the next level, you were literally just running in circles until you had strategy and you had a coach. Boom, boom. It's like coaching, getting just, it's like getting therapy.
Yep.
It's like getting therapy. It's like seeing a professional to get you from point A to point B. And it's so critical. And what I come to understand is that when you need a coach before you even think you're ready for a coach. And if there's
Say
one thing,
that part.
if there's one thing would have done sooner, was invested in some coaching um, earlier on.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of people see coaching as, let me try to figure it out on myself first. I can do this myself. I can use YouTube. I can use this. I can use books. And yes, all of that stuff works. I've learned so much on YouTube. I've learned so much from my virtual mentors. But it wasn't until I was I'm not too big of a fan on groups, as you know, but it wasn't until I got that one-on-one mentorship. I would love to be in a mastermind, along with all of the information I've been getting on books and audios and podcasts. Everything started to make sense and everything was accelerated. So I just wanted to just quickly jump
Yep.
in and just acknowledge that, wow, you literally said your business was going okay. It was going good, actually. But when you were ready to take it to the next level, it was someone who has been there before you that helped to tell you, hey, this is how you collapse decades into days,
Yep.
you know? So
Absolutely.
so back to social media and how it has impacted your growth and your exposure. How were you with social media? I mean, we're women of a certain age. We're not going to say what age that is. We're women of a certain age. And we are so blessed and lucky that we get it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people in our age range that are struggling to
Yeah.
with tech period. Like
Period.
they can't even operate their iPhone properly. Okay? So now we're talking about, I can't do basic tech. How were you with navigating social media? I mean, we got Instagram, we got TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, now X, Facebook, and countless others, Snapchat and the Clubhouse. How
Mhm.
were you able to navigate through that and choose the platforms?
So I was already on social media for the most part, all of those profiles as an author.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I know I needed to do was to be more effective at it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to attract people and engage more people. So I was doing basically what everybody does: post when you feel like it, and things like that. I didn't have a rhythm. I didn't have a strategy. I wasn't really building an audience. I wasn't really engaging. I wasn't doing the things that help you grow.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that there was a difference. And so once
Say that again. Say that again. You then triggered something again.
it's a
So
difference.
you were posting and posting and posting, but there's a difference,
Mhm.
and you came to realize that.
Yeah. And I knew that. I knew that. And I was
Mhm,
like, what do I need to do this? Right.
mhm,
I want to now grow. I want to build audience. I want to do more audience development. And coming from marketing, there were things that I know. Marketing doesn't change, just the methods that you use. And I wasn't really familiar with all the methods, right? All the technologies or the techniques to grow through social media, because I had been gone from the marketing. I know, yes, you have to have lead generation. Yes, you have to do, A, B, C, and D. But
mhm,
how did you do this A, B, C, and D in this arena and to do it effectively? And so that's when I started working with Janelle Stewart. And then as a result of that, my profiles grew tremendously and my income grew tremendously.
mhm,
I did it all. I did corporate clients. I have a history of working with corporate clients, so that wasn't bad. I did corporate clients, I did individuals. I had a membership group called the C-Suite Society. I did digital courses that were very effective for people. I did one-on-one coaching. I did group coaching. All of the stuff, and it really, I saw the ROI from it. I
mhm,
grew my audience and everything. And that was because she taught me the techniques, the strategies, and everything that I have to use. And that's why I said to this day, I always say I'm a strategist at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Strategy is going to help you get a bigger ROI, right? A bigger return from your investments, as well as help you not expend or waste time, money, energy, and resources doing things the wrong way or doing things that's not the most effective way to do things. So
Mm-hmm.
that was definitely the key for me.
So with your coaching clients,
Mhm.
not well, maybe it could be the nonprofit coaching clients as well. But generally in business, what has been the biggest challenge and obstacle that you've seen with your clients are facing? Because I feel like it's like it's like a script.
It's
That
clear. Yeah.
we're all suffering from similar setbacks. But what
Mhm.
can you say has been the most challenging that you've seen?
I think the most challenging thing is two things: strategy and branding.
Mhm.
So, I have a background in marketing and branding. And like I said, the science of marketing and branding has not changed since I did it for corporate. What has changed is the way that you do it, the methods or the tools that you use. Right. So back when I was doing marketing, we didn't have social media. It wasn't part of our, offerings to help a
Mhm.
client, market their companies. We use advertising. I remember when we used to do banner ads. Remember
Yes,
those?
yes,
We used
yes.
to do banner ads, and when blogs first came out, we did, stuff like that. Now, there's other ways to market because technologies has changed, right? But
Mhm,
marketing is still the same thing. It's still, how do you get in front of your customer, and
mhm,
how many methods are you using? Are you using an integrated method? And a lot of people believe they know how to market, right? But don't necessarily have the history, the training, or the technique and the understanding of how to effectively market. So that's first and foremost, and it starts with developing a strong brand. So a lot of times, the clients that I work with haven't really, solidified their blank. They don't have a lot of clarity around what their brand is, how
mhm,
they're coming to the market, how they're communicating, what they're saying, what they're offering. So that's first and foremost. Like every single client I've ever worked with, we had to like either start from there or come back there, refine that, and then move forward. The
mhm,
second thing that a lot of them that have helped a lot of and supported a lot of them with to help them take their uh, businesses to the next level is strategy. And so here's the interesting thing about strategy. Strategy basically is the most effective way, right, in order to accomplish a set of goals and outcomes and things like that, right? It's your overall plan. How are you going to do this? What do you need to do? And then you figure out all the details. You develop your plans, your goals, and all of that other stuff. And strategy is extremely important to a business.
mhm,
It is what builds empires
mhm,
as a business, right? So Amazon's success is not by chance, it's by strategy, right?
mm,
Strategy also wins wars, right?
mhm,
The Art of War is this book that's all about strategy. Every world war that was won, every battle that was won, whatever it is, you can go into the history books and they will show you what the strategy was to win that particular war,
mhm,
right? So strategy is basically the game plan. It's the blueprint. It's the framework. How are we going to go about doing this? And there's a lot of elements that come with that. The thing about strategy when it comes to a business is that strategies are developed at the higher levels of the business. It's developed by the C-suite, right? So the C-level executives, the CEO, the COO, whoever's at the top, the president, the executive director, like whatever those top folks are, that's who develops strategy.
mhm.
Then strategy, once it's developed, is executed at the other levels of the organization.
Right.
Many entrepreneurs come in to entrepreneurship from an employee position. They were employees somewhere
Mhm.
and not necessarily executives. So
So
the
how
minute,
does so how does that play itself out?
Mhm.
Because what I'm hearing you say is that there are two different mindsets.
Yes,
There's the employee mindset, and
yep.
then there's the entrepreneur mindset, right?
Or I wouldn't even say entrepreneur mindset. I would say
CEO.
there's the employee mindset and there's a leadership or CEO mindset.
Hmm.
Mhm. And they operate very differently.
Right. So I want you guys to if you don't have your pen and paper,
Get it?
like
Get it?
taking
Yeah.
notes right now, definitely watch the replay on this because this is a gem right here. And I know this is going to resonate with a lot of you. When we go into business, a lot of times mentally, we have not made the shift from employee to leadership, employee to running your own businesses. So somehow you think that everything is just going to mysteriously happen. So, all of those structures and frameworks that were in a corporation and business, you have to create the same structure and framework in your self employed or your entrepreneur business. It took me a while to figure that out because once you have the title entrepreneur or business owner, you just feel like that's just the title. But there's a mental switch, a paradigm shift actually,
Yep.
that has to happen for you to start seeing your own business that way.
Yep.
So, in a corporate structure, there's room for advancement, right? You can get raises, you can get promotions, you can get trainings, all right? But when you work for yourself, that has to continue. You have to find a way to advance yourself, promote
Development.
yourself, further further your education, learning. You
Yep.
know, there's ways around doing that. Find ways of growth, like you said, in your business, making growth a priority
Let me
and
give you a
doing that.
prime example right there.
Mm-hmm.
When I came into leadership, and especially into executive leadership, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
difference between leadership and executive leadership. Leadership is like management level, mid management. Executive leadership, that means you're at the top of the organization,
Right.
top of the company, right? You're a C-suite, executive VPs, you're high level.
Mm-hmm.
When I stepped into executive leadership, I began to receive a lot of professional development. That's the
Okay.
training.
Right.
And companies invest in their leaders in professional development because it's going to help the company, right, do well. They don't want to put anybody at the top that is not equipped or prepared, that doesn't have the right training. So I went through a lot of training as a business executive. I
Right.
went to a program called the National Executive Leadership Academy. I
Right.
got a new, a nonprofit leadership certificate from Adelphi University. That's more schooling, for more
Mm-hmm.
schooling. Um, I went through leadership training. So that's what helped me with my paradigm shift. And I
Right.
realized that the way that I approach things as an employee is very different than how you approach things as a CEO, right?
Okay.
You got to see the whole thing.
Right.
An employee, you really only see what you bring to the table. You see your department, you see your task, and that's what you focus on. The
Mm-hmm.
difference is being really kind of like organizational based and
Mm-hmm.
being task based.
Okay.
Just what you said. And people who come from employees into businesses, they focus on the tasks
Mm-hmm.
that need to be done, but they don't focus on the whole thing. The difference is working in your business and working on your
On
business.
your business, right? So let's um talk to my lady, this person that I have in mind.
Mhm.
Like I said, we speak to one, we speak to many, and um, and strategy is what's coming up for me. Strategy is what's coming up for me.
Mhm.
That's the key word that you brought up, and I'm like, yeah, that's what she needs. She needs strategy, and she needs a coach. She needs strategy, and she needs a coach.
Mhm. Yeah.
Either or, both, and she's got to start somewhere.
Mhm.
So we're talking about an individual who has their own business, um, in the service-based business, building a clientele, putting themselves out there on social media or website, trying to advertise, trying to build a clientele, trying to make a name for themselves. Also, a mom of two young children, just relocating to a new home.
Mhm.
Um, and doing all the things. I'm not sure if she's a wife as well, but let's just say wife, mother, entrepreneur, sister, friend,
Okay.
church member, whatever. And here I come now into her life saying, "Hey, why don't you clean up your persona on social media because Why don't you get clear on your messaging? Why don't you set a goal? Because I feel that, like how we started at the beginning of the podcast, right? We said that we were trying to do work life balance. We were trying to master multitasking. And here I am saying that, hey, if you have a goal, a big picture goal of where you see your life, and then a kind of initial goal, maybe where you want to be by the end of the year, that's going to guide you into a lot of relevant decisions
Mhm.
rather than being all over the place. Because maybe you don't need to do 20 things. Maybe you just need to do 10 things. So let's talk to this lady. So we're talking high level organization tactics and strategies from national corporations, but how can the everyday woman, service provider, just trying to make it, what is the strategy for them to see, climb
Mhm.
out? Because that's what it feels like when you
It does.
when you're like drowning in all of your roles and responsibilities and feel like no one else can do it like you, but you, only you. How do you climb? What's those first steps to climb out?
You
What
need
does that
help.
strategy look like?
Help.
Hmm.
Because usually when you're doing that, you're trying to climb out and things are coming down on top of you, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
so she needs help.
Mhm.
She needs help. She needs someone who can kind of see what she can't see,
Right.
guide her forward. And that strategy is working with her to help her implement the right strategies for her, not a blanket strat. There's no
Mhm.
such thing as a blanket. Like what works for her with everything that she has in the picture, right? So it can't be, and it's great to say, do this in social media, do this here, do that there. But if we just back her up and say, who are you?
Mhm.
What are you doing? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go?
Mhm.
Right? And who are you trying to serve? We can back up, get everything in order, streamline it, and then give her a way to execute it in a way that's not going to be overwhelming, but
Right.
will take care of all those things that she needs to do,
Mhm.
but in an effective way, in an efficient way. So she's not running over here to do social media and then running over here to do this and then going over here and do that. And none of that stuff is connected.
Right.
It's all got to be connected.
Right.
So get clear and then get the strategy and connect everything.
Right.
Because I see people like, well, I did this on social media and I did this here and I did that there and I did that there. And I'm like, okay, so what was your campaign? What do you mean?
Yeah.
So you're spending time doing all of this stuff, but you could have just like developed, say, what's my strategy? Here's my end goal. This is what I want to get to.
Yeah.
Here's what I need to do. And here's my game plan. And now I execute. And when I execute it, I'm actually taking care of several things at one time.
Right.
So when this stuff is, let's say if it's you want to market a program, right?
Mhm.
So when you're focusing from a strategy perspective, you're looking at, this is my brand, this is who I'm serving, this is who I want to target. You pull all of that up right up front to create that strategy. And then you
Mhm.
say, these are the assets that I need. And assets, when I say assets, is marketing speak, but that means what's all the collateral? What is everything that you need to get in front of people? You gather
Mhm.
everything you need to get in front of the people. So now you got all of this stuff. And when it's time to get in front of them, now you got all the things that you need to put out in front of them. So
Mhm.
it's like, okay, these assets, these are how I'm going to use these assets. This I'm going to send out an email. On the same day I send out that email, I'm going to send out a social media post. I'm going to do a reel. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. All of that stuff is prepared, front loaded, and everything. So when you now release the strategy, everything falls into place. It's all connected. Your brand looks consistent. It's the same information everywhere that people go. If you go over here on Facebook, it looks and sounds the same as what's on TikTok, as what's on social media, as what might be in someone's email, as what you're saying when you're in front of people, because it's streamlined.
Mhm.
Make
Mhm.
sense?
Yes, definitely. So, um, for those of you who are just tuning in, listen, there's a lot of gems to get here. So, I suggest that you go ahead and watch the replay in the beginning, because if you're tuning in at the end, you're just getting the part of the solution, but also hearing Renee talk about her own personal experiences in the beginning of figuring out the work life balance. It's all going to make sense from the beginning to the end. So, first of all, we need to focus that work life balance is a myth. You get more done and it's more efficient if you focus. Strategy is important.
Mhm.
Blocking out time is important. Having a calendar is extremely important. What about getting other people on board? Because you mentioned your husband, your kids, everybody's on
Right.
board. The more people you can get on board with your systems, it's all about systems,
Mhm.
it's the smoother everything is going to go.
Yes.
Okay, folks?
That's
All
it.
right.
Those are the ingredients. You got a pie. You got a pie there.
That's looking like a pie.
That's looking like a pie.
Yeah, so this was amazing, amazing, amazing. I got a lot of reminders for myself, and I hope that the Girl Activate community, you had your paper and pencil and pens out or your notes out, taking notes, because this could be what is stopping you from excelling. And baby, let me tell you, 2024, we don't want it to be the same. All right. Things are starting to get a little bit more normal. And we have to really set our eyes on the prize and put practices in place that are going to help us to get where we need to go.
Mhm.
So, Renee,
Yes.
with that being said, do you have any final thoughts for the Girl Activate community?
I would say, after all we talked about, here's what you need to do to keep moving forward. Be consistent, be disciplined,
Hmm.
and be consistent. That's it.
Yeah. All right, all right. So before we sign off, I want to tell everybody listening about some things that we have coming up in the Girl Activate community. You asked for it and it's back. The Girl Activate Natural Hair event is coming up the first week in February 2024. Let's give it up for that. And I have a gift for you guys. If you are in the community or not, if you head over to my website, stacyciceron.com, I have a free offer for you. I have a free guide for you, actually. It is 10 tips to communicating your personal brand online. It's absolutely free. It'll be downloaded right into your inbox. All you have to do is leave your name and email. And also, I'm so excited because I'm launching my very first digital course that is going to be helping. Yes. Actually, I did a digital course, but it was more in the beauty space because, as you know, or may not know, I have built a reputation and brand around being a beauty expert. So, this is a real major leap of faith and a huge, I realize it's not a huge pivot, but that's for another conversation. Because I'm like, I'm in beauty. I've been making people look good. Now I'm telling you how to do your personal brand. I'm still making you look good for the people, right?
Right.
All right. So it's Activate Your Brand. It's launching on January 9th. So set your calendars, get ready for that. Very, very excited about that. But as far as this YouTube channel, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you're not following us on social media, man, you're doing yourself a disservice. Inspiration and motivation galore, baby, galore. All right, so follow Renee Daniel Flagler on Instagram and all social media. Her name is the same on all social media handles. And Girl Activate is underscore Girl Activate underscore. And of course, you can follow me, Stacy Ciceron, on all social media platforms. It's going to be my first and last name. And every reference that Renee and I mentioned, I'm going to go back and make sure I put it in the show notes with all of the links. Are you working on anything that you want to share right now? Any offers or opportunities?
Um, right now, I am doing a lot with. I'm working on turning my book Dream Journey, which is really what this is all about, right? It's called Dream Journey, um, a spiritual guide for professionalizing your passion.
Mm-hmm.
So look for that. It's available now, but looking forward to having it in audio in the next couple of months. So that's it.
Yes.
That and I'm on other writing deadlines.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, thank you so much again for pouring into my Girl Activate community and being on my podcast. I'm feeling really, really good about everything that's going on. And let me tell you, just a personal testimony. Um, we make it look easy, y'all.
That part.
We just making it look easy. It's not. It's
It's not.
not. It's not. It's not. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of prayer, and like Renee said, consistency, consistency, and that is one area that I have dedicated myself to: consistency and focusing on one thing until complete. So, got my new equipment. Stay tuned. I'm excited about that. But again, no need to keep rambling on, guys. Stay tuned, like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.
Ciao.